Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to NAFA's 49th annual business meeting. We have decided to conduct this in a little bit different manner this year since our annual conference was canceled. So this is a meeting that will serve to provide you with a current overview of the association, the financial status of NAFA, and it also serves as the election of the directors and officers of the organization. So it's going to be fairly short, probably run about 20 minutes. We're going to have a couple polls during the meeting to gauge your interest level and activity levels. And then at the end of the meeting, you'll see a survey where you'll be able to participate with some questions and answers on what you're seeing in the market today. So to move forward, I'd like to start by giving you a little bit overview of the current status of the association. We currently have 193 member companies as of the end of the year 2019. Those companies are banks, financiers, broker-dealers, CPAs, everybody involved in the process of the purchase of an aircraft. Just this year, we're pleased to welcome 9 new members. 3 of those are aircraft lenders, Truist Financial Corporation, which is through the merger of BB&T and SunTrust, We, Florida Financial, and Aircraft Finance Specialists. We're also pleased to welcome 3 aircraft broker-dealers, Eagle Creek Aviation, Holstein Aviation, and Azurjet. And then we've got 3 other companies that we welcome, Kavan Havlicek, which is a Turkish aircraft purchase consultancy, King & Spalding, a multinational law firm, and the Professional Aircraft Appraisal Organization. So as far as the membership, the organization has grown considerably in the last 5 years. From 2016 alone, we're up 20% membership-wise. And really, there's a number of reasons that have contributed to that. We launched a new member management platform that integrates with the website in 2016. That's helped us keep a closer connection with our membership. And it's really helped a lot with member retention. In addition to launching a specific member retention program and a proactive initiative to reach out to companies that are active in this segment and encourage membership in NAFA. Going forward, we also plan to recognize new members at the annual conference, and specifically we'll have a new member welcome reception at the start of the annual conference each year. Now, this growth in the membership has triggered some organizational focus. Since our 2019 annual business meeting in March, which seems like 20 years ago now, we expanded the board of directors by 6 positions. So we were pleased to welcome last year the addition of 6 new board members in addition to our existing board. Keith Hayes with PNC Aviation Finance, Scott Nelson with Gulfstream, Kathy Nyan with Cirrus and Cirrus Finance, Don Pointer with Dassault Falcon Jet, Anthony Schieber with Textron Financial, and David Vandenberg with Bombardier Business Aircraft. So we're pleased that we now have representation, even at the board level, with most of the OEMs in our market. In addition, we developed a 5-year roadmap for the organization, a 5-year financial roadmap, which is just a high-level overview of where we want to be in 5 years. And it's intended to support some of the initiatives that we'll be discussing here today. Some of the strategic priorities that we identified for NAFA, we decided that expanding educational content is a high priority for the organization. And we'll talk about that in a few minutes, the things that we're doing to expand that. We also want to collaborate more closely with other industry associations. And we want to promote NAFA as the voice of aviation finance. That's a very big strategic priority for the organization. The result of these efforts, we've been working specifically with AvBuyer to have advertising and guest editorials on behalf of NAFA, not on behalf of the individual companies. We've also created a new webinar series, which I'll be talking about here in a few minutes. And we've started creating unique content. So this is NAFA-specific content represented by NAFA members who pull together their resources to come up with an opinion. Their first piece was published in March, and it was a summary of the General Accounting Office's report on the FAA registry and proposed changes. And I'd like to thank Debbie Irwin and her team for developing that overview. If you haven't seen it, please go to the NAFA website. It's worth looking at. We also started the process of establishing the NAFA Foundation. So the NAFA Foundation concept is an idea to provide more benefit to the scholarship recipients and expand NAFA's philanthropic efforts. So first, a thank you to Tony Cusis and his team that managed the scholarships. Through December of 2019, we've awarded over $197,000 in scholarships to students. That's an average of $3,800 per student, but we want to increase that. Knowing how expensive education is now, we want to see that increase, and so the NAFA Foundation is an important role in increasing what we can contribute. We had 4 scholarship recipients in 2019. 3 of them from Embry-Riddle, Talina Gulati with a 4.0 GPA with a senior in accounting and finance, Nicholas Davis, a junior in accounting, marketing, economics, and finance with a 3.8 GPA, and Roseanne Morales, a junior in business marketing at Embry-Riddle with another high GPA. And then our 4th recipient is just an amazing individual, Glenna Lusk. She's getting her doctorate at the Aviation and Space Law program at the University of Mississippi. It's the first recipient that we've had from that school, and she's just an amazing individual. She spends time now with the U.S. Department of Justice as an intern to the Office of the General Counsel. So congratulations to our 2019 scholarship recipients. So moving on, talking about our 2020 conference, what we've done about that and what 2020 will look like. We've obviously canceled our 2020 conference. And as a side note here, if you would like a refund for your conference registration or anything that you've provided on the side of sponsorship, please reach out to Karen Griggs for that. Otherwise, at this point, we're rolling everything forward to next year. With that in mind, 2021 will be held in Napa Valley. We've rolled everything forward a year. We've secured about 80 to 90% of the speakers. So the content and agenda are already mostly confirmed. We've already secured the same keynotes, and the head keynote is Dawn Hudson, the former chief marketing officer of the National Football League and the former CEO of PepsiCo North America. So an amazing program that will roll forward to next year. As you may have heard, we've added educational content to the conference. So rolling forward for next year, another half day of educational content. We'll also have additional networking opportunities with more networking events. And we've are overhauling the golf tournament to provide a more fun environment. It's something that's needed to be done. It's gotten a little stagnant over the last few years. We're also going to end the conference portion with an open floor town hall, which is kind of an open mic with the membership. It'll allow you to interact with everybody in the room and outline issues that you're seeing and ask other people how they're addressing those issues. So I also want to say thank you to Brad Harris. He's spearheaded the 2020 conference. It's a significant overhaul from prior conferences and has rolled everything forward to 2021. So again, thank you to Brad Harris for that. 2021 will also be NAFA's 50th annual conference. So we will look forward to raising a toast to NAFA's 50th annual conference in Napa Valley next year. A few additional updates on things happening within the organization. Since our last meeting in March in Fort Lauderdale, 2019, we finalized a membership-wide NAFA Code of Ethics, which is on the NAFA website. And we also implemented a board-level Code of Conducts and Ethics. And I'd like to thank Jim Simpson for spearheading that. And that's available for anybody to review on the website. Obviously, we've also worked hard to minimize the financial loss from the 2020 conference. And if we didn't know what force majeure was a year ago, we sure do now. But it was a significant amount of effort in working with the host hotel, food and beverage side, a lot of different people. And I'd like to call out Karen Griggs for her amazing work in helping with that, and also David Warner for giving us really good counsel and telling us what force majeure meant. Then we've also put a little bit of a hold on the NAFA Foundation development until later this year, just from a financial standpoint. And then lastly, the NAFA IAD reception, which is held pre-NBAA, that's to be held in October. We're currently working closely with IADA to evaluate what that might look like. Neither of our organizations have made any commitments yet for that reception. We really need to wait and see what it looks like before we make anything that will financially expose either organization. So we're basically standing by for another month or two to see what comes of the NBAA major event. So lastly, we're introducing a new webinar series. It's a monthly aviation finance specific webinar series that will start next month in June. And we're inviting thought leaders on various topics to talk about, events that are topical right now. So it'll be free to NAFA members. It'll have an educational focus, and it will help us establish a new communication channel for timely and relevant content for our membership. They're planned to be an hour long. We'll have a Q&A session with each. We'll have 3 to 5 participants, and we're hoping to use Zoom, which is this format, depending on how this event today goes. So as such, we welcome your comments at the end of this with whether or not Zoom worked as a good platform. So the webinar series, again, which will start in June, we'll talk about things like managing your portfolio in a downturn. We'll talk about trends in aircraft lending during and post COVID-19, things like the stimulus impact, pipeline activity, underwriting trends, dealing with increases in fraud, dealing with changes in employee workforce that works remote, the significant regulatory changes that will impact how you do business that are coming down the pipe, and other changes that we're seeing within specific segments of our industry. So I welcome you, if you're interested in participating in the webinar series, to reach out to Tracy Cheap. She's our chairperson for the series, and again, we'll be launching that in June, hopefully running one a month through later in the year. So with that said, that's an overview of the current state of the National Aircraft Finance Association at the high level. I'd like to turn this over to Tobias Kleitman now, our treasurer, and he's going to give you a financial report on the state of the organization. What's up, Tobias?
Thanks, Jim. Welcome, everybody, and thanks for joining today. Appreciate the time that everybody has taken out of their schedule to join us to get an update. Talking about financials mid-year is always a little odd because, you know, we have income, we have expenses, we have the conference, we don't always have the conference P&L, we have the rest of the year to go, and this year's no exception because of COVID and the canceling of the conference. So when I look at the balance sheet and the P&L, you know, a lot of the numbers, I don't know what the word is, deceptive, meaningless. It just is a strange place to be right now. But I do know that there's probably people out there wondering, you know, what is the strength of the organization? So I'm going to try and focus on that theme here. And if anybody has questions about this stuff afterwards, you know, feel free to reach out to me directly. And it's unfortunate that we are sitting here today in our homes and offices doing this as opposed to being in Napa Valley. We had, and I just want to touch on this quickly, I mean, we were on track for a record turnout, record sponsorship, Napa Valley. It was going to be fantastic. And, you know, I think it had a lot to do with Brad Harris and the planning team's work and Tracy's work and growing the membership and the venue we were going to. And it's really unfortunate because from a financial perspective, it was going to really give the organization a boost and help us achieve our long-term goals. It is what it is. We are here, and I'm looking forward to next year. Big picture, round numbers, to give you an idea. First of all, the organization is financially strong. Today, we have $431,000 in the bank. But not all of that is ours. We had $273,000 come in for the spring conference. We have refunded $165,000 of that. Some people have said, hold my sponsorship over till next year. But we still have $108,000 that people haven't responded to in terms of their registration dues. I think I said, some people have said just carry it over till next year, but there's plenty more. And as Jim mentioned, if you want a refund, just reach out to Karen and we'll send you a check. And if you want us to carry it over till next year, that's fine too. I don't see the registration rates changing for next year at all. So effectively, it would be paid for. So if you subtract out what's not ours, 323,000 roughly is what we have in the bank, and that's more than enough to get through the year. It's nice that we have a strong rainy day fund, and I'll say, you know, it has grown over the years, and it doesn't grow every year. There are years where the board makes investments, and we have unexpected expenses. We might, you know, lose some money in a year. And some years we have a you know, net profit. You know, as an example, in 18 we lost 36,000. Seems like a lot, but California was expensive, and we made investments in the website and marketing and trying to grow the organization to create members. In 2019, we had we were on the plus side, 77,000. So, you know. And some years are closer to break even. But to give you an idea of where we've come from, at the end of the year, 2011, our cash balance. This is 2011, so coming out of the last recession, we had $175,000 in cash at the end of the year in the bank, and so it's grown over the years. And like I said, it's nice to have that rainy day fund, and it certainly is raining now, and hopefully not for much longer. But we are in good shape. If I look at the projected net income for the year, right now, if you look at the P&L, we're projecting, or the budget, we're projecting 138,000 net income. But that's with 108,000 that is not ours. So it should actually work out to more like 30,000 if all things are equal and everything sort of works out the way we expect with membership and the growth of the organization, and hopefully we don't have any fall off. Hopefully people continue to believe that NAPA is an important organization for their companies, and they see the value in the webinar series that we're coming out with. There's also the big question mark of NBAA. We don't know if there's going to be a joint NAFA IATA reception. We don't know if that's going to be an expense or if it's going to be a moneymaker. So things are a little bit in flux, but at the end of the day, we have more than enough in reserves to survive this, get to next year, and then build on what we've been building on. So hopefully that's what people are hoping to hear, and that's all I have. Thank you, Jim.
Great, thank you, Tobias. Appreciate your report and the health of the financial health, I guess, of the organization. Thank you very much. Now I'd like to introduce David Warner, NAFA's General Counsel. He'll talk about the elections of officers and directors for this year.
Great. Thank you very much, Jim. As Jim mentioned, I'm David Warner with the law firm of Lane Powell out here in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. Got a great day going. I hope the weather is as nice where you are as it is here, because it's just beautiful. As Jim mentioned, I'm a general counsel. I served that in a volunteer post and have for many years. All of NAFA's activities are conducted by or under the direction of a board of directors. Our board is entirely composed of volunteers. That is, none of us get anything out of it other than just the pure joy that we get from serving the organization. What we try to do with the board, we got, as Jim mentioned, with 19 members on our board of directors currently. We split the board into 3 roughly even classes of 6, 6, and 7. Our thinking behind that, it's always been the way we've done it in NAFA, is that we want to have, like 1/3 of the board comes up for re-election every year. So we get continuity. That is, 2/3 continue from time to time. We don't have a complete wholesale every year. But at the same time, we have term limits so that we keep a nice flow of, fresh interest, of new folks coming through the board on a regular basis. So we get both, the 1-2 punch, nice continuity, but a nice flow of good new talent. We also try, I think we do a very good job at it, to get membership on the board of directors, across the board. As many different constituencies as we have, we like to have represented. Let me take a minute just to run through everybody who's on the board. I mean, like I said, I've been, had the privilege and pleasure of working with NAFA for the last 21 years, 22 years maybe. And over the years, we've had some awesome boards. We've had some terrific officers. And I got to tell you, the one that your board that you've got right now is just awesome. It's one of the better ones I've seen. Let me run through the names. And these are in alphabetical order, not in order of importance. First, we've got Jim Blessing from Air Fleet Capital, who's serves as our president. Jim Simpson, First Republic Bank. He's our vice president. Richard Barrett from Huntington National Bank. Jason Caterino, Salem 5 Bank. J.C. Farrar, outstanding attorney with the firm Holland and Knight. Steve Friedrich at Embraer Executive Jets. Keith Hayes at PNC. Brad Harris, Dallas Jet International, an awesome, broker outfit. Dave Labrosi, everybody knows Dave, Global Jet Capital. He's been around the industry for forever. Ed Medici, Bank of America Leasing. Debbie Mercer Irwin, Wright Brothers Title. Adam Meredith at AOPA Finance. Scott Nelson at Gulfstream. Kathy Nyan at Cirrus Aircraft. Don Pointer, Dassault Falcon Jet. Lee Road, Essex Aviation, a great consultant. Anthony Schreiber from Textron Financial. David Vandenberg at Bombardier. And last but certainly not least, Ford Von Viesi, City Private Bank. Ford was our most recent past president, did a terrific job in that role. So we've got it's a terrific board, as the names apply. This year, there's one class that was up for re-election, and that was our Class 1 directors. On that class, those that are continuing, they're up for re-election because they have time left on their, before they run out of term limits. We renominated them for election. J.C. Farrar, again, Holland and Knight. Kathy Nyan, Cirrus. Lee Road, Essex. Dave Vandenberg at Bombardier. And Jim Blessing is technically in that, and he's continuing in office as president. The two directors who are term limited and will not be renewing out of that class are Jason Caterino from Salem 5 and Ford Von Viesi, City Private Bank. And, we want to take an extra moment to thank both of those guys for just outstanding service over the last 6 years. Much, much appreciated. Now, we have nominated to fill the 2 slots being vacated by Jason and Ford. 2 guys who I've known personally for a long time, and everybody in the industry probably knows him. Brian Byers, now at Scope Aircraft Finance, and David Hudak at First Source Bank. And actually, I know Brian just recently went over to join Charlie Sauter's group at Scope. Charlie, of course, is a longtime director and very strong supporter of the organization. But Brian went over there from First Source Bank, so he's a First Source alum. I don't know if that counts for Jim. I don't know. Does that count for 2 people from First Source? I don't know. We can never have too many. Anyway, that's the ballot that was up for the election. Again, Brian Byers, J.C. Farrar, Dave Hudak, Kathy Nyan, Lee Road, Dave Brandenburg, and Jim Blessing. We circulated ballots in anticipation of our meeting before. Ballots have been received and collected. And Mr. President, I'm delighted to announce to the membership that the slate that I just read have been overwhelmingly voted and approved by our membership, and therefore would, effective as of this meeting, they are now members of our board of directors, which is great. Now, continuing as officers, and this was a board action. Continuing as officer is our Jim Blessing as our president, Jim Simpson from First Republic as our vice president, Tony Kiusis from Asset Insight continuing as our secretary, Tobias Kleitman from TVPX, who spoke just before me, as our treasurer. Our executive director, Karen Griggs, continues. She's doing an awesome job for as long as I've known about NAFA, and she'll continue doing so. And me as David Warner as general counsel. And with that, Mr. President, that concludes my report on our election. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David, and thank you for your years of support of NAFA. You've been a steadfast support of the organization and a rock for us to be able to lean on, especially during some difficult times. So again, thank you very much, David. So with that in mind, I would ask that you consider participating in one of NAFA's committees. Reach out to Karen Griggs for considering participating in one of the committees that NAFA has, and they're posted on the NAFA website. I'd like to join David and everybody else on the board in thanking Jason and Ford for their years of service to NAFA. Jason and Ford were both instrumental in the development of the platform that we have, the web platform, and it's really helped improve the brand and move the organization forward over the last few years. Also like to join and welcome Dave Hudak and Brian Byers. We look forward to your participation with NAFA. We've got a lot of things going on, a lot of things in the fire that we welcome you to jump in and participate with. After this, there's a post-meeting survey that you'll see when you exit Zoom, and we'd love if you complete that. The survey is not so much about the Zoom, but more so about what you're seeing in the market today, and we'd love to collect feedback on what everybody's seeing so that we can provide that back to the organization, the members in the organization. So with that, we'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting, the 49th annual meeting of the National Aircraft Finance Association, and thank everybody for participating today. Have a great day.